Good morning from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 11:16 a.m. on the 22nd of March 2025. It's quite hot today, quite humid given we're pushing near the end of March. April's coming when it gets cooler. And the other cool thing will be my 60th birthday. Can you imagine 6 decades stomping, jiving, whirling, dervishing, existing, fighting, loving, experiencing, growing up, growing through, growing past, overcoming, falling down in a heap, getting up and doing it all again? 60 fucking years. Well, we're not there yet. We've got 3 weeks to go. Better not get too excited. Just, you never know. Bing, bang, boom, baby. Anything could happen. But anyway, almost 60 years. Dear goddess. Kind of blows my mind. People there. I had a wonderful time last night at the Brooklyn Standard dancing for my, I dance. I have 3 bands that I dance for, regularly, but my personal favourites, because I've been dancing with them for a long time, are Alter Egos and Ramjet. So I danced for Alter Egos last night. Oh, they were lovely. They were all so lovely last night, all of them. The whole crowd was lovely, and Adrian came and stood beside me and had a chat to me too, and he was lovely too. And then there was a young, he made me laugh. This young man, he was a very cheeky young man, sat at the table where I do my performance art from, and with about 5 or 6 women who were all looking at me very winsomely and sweet. They were lovely young women actually, and he's holding court like a king of a harem, all these beautiful women with him. Can't quite work that out, what that was all about. Anyway, there were 2 women that had been sitting there prior to their arrival who were quite drunk, and they'd left 2 full glasses of, I don't know, Southern Comfort with Red Bull, some odd-looking, very tall drink, and they'd left it behind full because I think they intended to come back. And it's highly unusual, actually, that the glasses didn't remove the drinks because they're usually right on it, but it was a quiet night, and I'm sitting there, so it's not like anyone slipped anything into the drinks because I would have seen it. Well, maybe might have seen it. Anyway, it wasn't a problem per se. So this quite handsome but cheeky young man says to me, "Are they your drinks?" And I went, "No, love." I said, "There were 2 women that were quite drunk, we've sorted off, but they may come back, they may not, who knows." And he said, "Oh, well, I'm going to drink them then," and gives me this cheeky look, right? I said, "I wouldn't do that if I were you, love." He says, "Why not?" I said, "Well, you don't know what those women, have." I said, "They might have a disease, they might have slipped a Mickey in it. I mean, you just don't know, do you?" And he just looks at me and grabs one and sculls half of it, just to be defiant and rebellious against the old mama tea. And I said, "Oh, you are naughty, aren't you? Oh, you naughty boy. Oh, you have this need to be so naughty." And I reached over very gently because I've realised recently that it actually fucking hurts when I whack people with my fan. I've lost my bamboo once, probably good because, that kind of hurts. So I promised myself I wasn't going to do that anymore. It's only a joke thing usually, but usually it's only a joke thing. But I'm not actually trying to hurt anyone. But so I had not this particular one, but other plastic fan on me. So I reached over very gently, I tapped him and I went, "You've been so naughty." And other women were laughing, crying with laughter. He's like, yes, I am. Anyway, the 2 women that were the owners of the drinks come back and sort of look a bit annoyed because they've taken their seat, and I kind of said he could sit there because I genuinely thought they'd left, completely left. So, my bad, you know. Well, I can't always know what people are going to do, can I? Not sitting there to bloody police everyone. I even said to him, I'm not here to police the drinks, I just don't think you should drink them. So anyway, so I had a mouthful of a big, because I suck on ice during the night, because I have usually 2 Jack Daniels, sometimes 3, and then I have, I actually started the night off with a Coca-Cola as well, but then I suck on ice just because I get hot from the intense dancing and the energy that I build up. So I had this big chunk of ice in my mouth, and I'm trying to tell the young man, those women are back for their drinks, and he's like, what? So, and the women sitting there were laughing because I had to gesticulate. So I went like this, pointed to the 2 women, and then I went, and he went, the women are back for their drinks. Okay, so he sculled half of the other one, like right in front of them. They're just standing there like this. It was really cheeky, really cheeky. I went, what is it anyway that you're drinking? He said, I think it's Southern Comfort and Red Bull. He said, it's not even that nice. I went, well, why are you drinking it then? Because I can. I thought, oh God. Anyway, then he got up and did this thing, jumped up on the table, which I did not like. Don't like them jumping off the table. And I was swinging off the stripper pole, what we call the stripper pole. It's just some pole that holds up the ceiling. Anyway, I kind of had to laugh at that. That was kind of funny. Anyway, so I had a lovely time. And yes, Adrian was very kind to me and hung around with me a fair bit, and we chatted, and he was telling me about his, partner, his girlfriend. They've been together 6 months, and they're happy, and we're talking about moving in with each other, and I nodded, and we talked a bit about that. I won't go into details because it's private, but anyway, we talked a bit about that. And I asked him what he did for work, and he said he spends a lot of time, away in Sydney as well, 2 weeks of the month. And I nodded, and so yeah, it was very interesting. Very sweet person. He's always very sweet to me. Very kind person. He's such a friendly person. I watched him. He really goes around the room, around the whole club, and he introduces himself to many people. He's very garrulous and outgoing. I wish I was like that. I used to be like that when I was young, but I've lost it somehow. I guess too much vicious attacks and treachery. Now I'm very, very guarded and circumspect and not so outgoing anymore. But anyway, I watched him. He chatted to many people, made friends, introduced himself to many people, came back to the table where I dance and introduced himself to the young man that was drinking those 2 women's drinks, and very garrulous and friendly. They both were with each other, both extroverts. And it was actually quite lovely to observe and study and watch, and maybe I should revert to that where I'm more outgoing and less afraid to engage with people. But no, I do. I'm like this for a reason. It keeps me relatively safe and protects me from people that are disingenuous. Some of the time, not always, but some of the time. But anyway, then when I went to leave, I had to rush to the loo because I thought, don't want to drive home on the full bladder because it's uncomfortable and unpleasant. I rushed to the loo and I came out, and I thought about staying for the new band that was coming on 11, but I thought, no, I've danced for 3 hours and I'm quite tired now. Getting older, I'm starting to feel it. And 3 hours dancing was enough anyway. So, I sort of went to weave through the crowd, and I found Adrian talking to two lovely women, Naomi and forgotten what her friend's name was, but she actually leant in and gave me a hug and was very friendly, and I spoke to her and she asked me she asked if I was staying for the next gig, and I said no, I'm getting older and I'll be 60 in 3 weeks' time, and I'm kind of, done. I thought about staying, but I said I don't want to push myself. She said, you'll be 60 in 3 weeks' time. I said, yes, April. She said, what day? I said, 12th of April. She looked at me, she said, oh, you're an Aries. I love Aries. She went on and on about how much she loves Aries. I said, we're a mad bunch, us Aries. We're really quite odd. We're very, very unusual as part of the zodiac. And she said, oh, I just love it. I said, what star sign? Yeah, she's Scorpio. I went, oh, well, that makes sense then. I said, my daughter's a Scorpio. And she's a very loving girl. I said, you're always so loving when you see me. I said, I really love that about you. A very loving, kind person. She was thrilled, Got to compliment people on their finer attributes and remind them of who they are sometimes. It's important. Anyway, Adrian gave me a hug goodbye, which was also lovely. I felt very loved and nurtured and welcomed last night. But the Brooklyn Standard has often got that energy where I feel comfortable and welcome, and people are often very kind and lovely to me. So there you have it. Yes, so let us continue with reading from, to think of the title, Flying with Shamans and Fairy Tales and Myths, Chapter 3. I love these pictograms the author's chosen to include as well. Quite charming, beautiful. What is it actually? It's like the 4 directions at the centre of the universe, the diamond shape in the middle, the upper, lower and middle worlds. Yes, I see that now. See, it's actually at the centre and then the middle world and the outer world. And then you've got what looks like a farmer with a scythe on one side, and on the other someone just holding their arms out, and some kind of animal climbing up the world tree, and I don't know what these are. They look like, turn it sideways, equal to, another person there. What is this? The roots of the world tree, perhaps. I'm just surmising. I don't actually know that that's exactly what it is, but that's how I've interpreted it anyway, rightly or wrongly. Horse to ride on, steed to ride on, my hopeful wagon, wings to fly, golden storm wind, will rush through the highest heaven, noisy, effervescently, raving. From the edge of the purple cloud I will chase, head down into the distance. From the gold edge of the clouds I will fly, wings spread, into the distance. Song from Hungary. I don't know why, but my throat keeps closing up. It's been like that for a few months now. It's a bit of a worry, actually. I wonder if it's connected to the CPAP therapy or my sleep apnea. It's all open my airways somehow. I know how to do that. Have a good screech at somebody. I think like screaming, open up your fucking airways. Stress yourself out so much you give yourself diarrhea too. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So no, number 2 won't be opening her airways by screaming at anyone. You have to find another way. Singing. Maybe singing. Anyway, it's all very good. It's just a little frog in the throat. I've only had 5 hours sleep, so after my wild dance I was wide awake till 2 o'clock in the morning. I got home early because the gig went from 7:30 to 10:30. I was home by 11, and then I was like awake and alert. So there was that. I hope I'm not getting sick again. It's today, Saturday. I saw my psychiatrist on Wednesday. He was quite sick. I worried that I might get sick too. So Thursday, Friday, it's only 3 days. Anyway, I'm sure I'm not sick. It's just probably, coming out of the club and the night air and lack of sleep and raspiness. Raspiness to go along with the rascalness. I may go dancing again tonight if I'm not too tired, because Ramjet are playing at 8 p.m, so it's another early gig at 8 p.m. at Fitzy's at Waterford. I like dancing there because I can manifest my shamanic dancing a bit more. There's room to move and I can wave my arms around and go around in circles and do my weird thing. But I may not guarantee on that because I'm quite tired. I love Ramjet. I love you all. I love you all. Definitely, yes, definitely. I need to go though because I haven't danced for a few weeks now. I missed their last gig. Why did I miss their last gig? Can't remember. Anyway, the shamanism of all nations has as a central theme the image of a division of the cosmos into 3 worlds connected through the axis of the world tree: upper world, middle world, and underworld are levels of different states of being that can be travelled consciously by shamans for the well-being of the individual and therefore the community. These shamanic travels lead to parallel worlds of consciousness containing all information, all knowledge without the limits of time and space. Some shamanistic communities have detailed roadmaps of the other worlds. This way, the shamans can direct themselves in their work to the same topography of the world they wish to travel, and when travelling troubles occur, they are able to help and advise one another. The creation myth of Northern Europe also mentions the 3 worlds: Asgard, upper world; Midgard, middle world; and Utgard, underworld. In the advent of Christianity, these became heaven, earth, and hell. The concept of hell originates from the name of the underworld goddess, Hel, which means light or bright, who became woman Holla in the sagas and fairy tales. She is the earth mother who stirs the cauldron of the lifeblood on a fire deep in the mountain beneath the sea, and stores and protects life in the making and the life that was. Often in the old stories, the bear appears as a companion of the Earth Mother. This animal goes to her in the belly of the earth, lies next to her in the winter, and in spring reappears with new life, young bears on the earth's surface. The underworld is, in the conception of many peoples, a place where the souls of the deceased dwell. This world is often situated underwater or on the other side of a large body of water. The sun is paralleled in Greek mythology as well, crossing the river Styx, having to pay the ferryman with 2 silver coins to put on the eyes of the deceased as payment to cross the river Styx into the underworld. Otherwise, you are a lost soul, condemned to roam the earth forever. Chilling thought, isn't it? It's probably why Mama T's always got lots of silver on her, wearing it as jewellery, or, you have to laugh. Also, silver keeps vampires at bay, and if you suck on it, it's not quite the same. You need colloidal silver. I'm joking about that, but it is antibacterial and it's quite good to wear silver actually. It also represents the moon, whereas gold represents the sun. Right, my little mad segue there. The underworld is one that, in landscape and way of living, looks exactly like our own middle world, but without the sorrows and needs of our human world, and often it is all the other way around down there. The upper world is in the cosmology of many shamanistic populations, often similar to the middle world of the people, with rivers, mountains, dwelling places of spirits. Rising to the upper world can often take place only through a small hole. It's interesting, isn't it? The classification of certain animals into one of the 3 worlds, can vary from one shamanistic community to the next. In the stories from ancient Europe and some Siberian communities, snakes, dragons, toads are often protectors of the underworld. With their flight, birds link the middle world with the upper world, while some other feathered creatures have a special role. For instance, the duck that lives in all 3 dimensions, and the swan that not only lives on the waters, but also carries the souls of the dead to the world mountain, as the Siberian Yakuts tell. In the Scandinavian myth of creation, the little squirrel is the messenger between the eagle on top of the world tree in the upper world and the snake in the underworld. Numerous animals are able to shape-shift, traversing the areas of the middle world, including deer, horses, wolves, reindeer, and bears. All of them can also be the shaman's spirit animals that can be helpful with their special qualities when he prepares himself to traverse the land of the great tides. There's an interesting pictogram. It's like some kind of animal about to dive into a pool and maybe wagging its tail, maybe. And that's what I envisage there, but Tales of travelling in the underworld. Then the girl, oh, so it's meant to be a girl. I don't see that at all. Oh yes, I guess a head and 2 arms. And maybe she's got her legs pressed together there. I don't know if it's the part that confused me. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's all subjective to our experiential awareness and interpretation and reality. Then the girl jumped into the well. She lost consciousness, and when she woke up, I'm going to have to put myself back on morning tea. And when she woke up and could focus again, she found herself in a beautiful meadow where the sun was shining and thousands of flowers grew. That's what my mother experienced when she had a near-death experience, actually when she gave birth to me. She had given her ether, I think. Anyway, she came back from that experience and she gripped my father's hand and she said, "There's life after death, I've been there." And then she went on to describe this amazingly beautiful meadow with the most amazing wildflowers of the most amazing colours, the colours like she'd never seen here on earth. She said to my father, "I don't know where that place is, but I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to come back. It was so peaceful and beautiful, and the energy of the flowers, everything was singing." And she said it was amazing. And then she had to come back because, well, not because of me per se. We weren't close, my mother and I. I didn't see her for 48 hours after my birth, so I guess we probably didn't bond all that well. I mean, I was close to her because she was my mother, but my mother was not a nice mother. Not to my other sister either. Appalling she was. But anyway, she had this wonderful near-death experience and I was visioning, came back, was sent back. And then she had another experience when I was 7. She died of an asthma attack while at the dentist. And literally died. She was dead for 2 minutes. It was the nurse, the dentist assistant that did CPR and brought her back because the dentist actually freaked the fuck out. The last thing my mother heard was the nurse screaming at the dentist to call an ambulance. Anyway, my mother again had a very unusual near-death experience in which she heard a bell tolling. And the bell was a large, like church bell, with a very large resonating tone, and it just kept repeating over and over to her, "Remember, there's life after death. Remember, remember," each toll of the bell. "Remember, remember, remember." And again she was like, "But I don't want to go back." And they said, "We're sending you back." To be fair, what was going on in my childhood at that time, I wish to hell she hadn't been sent back, but I guess I might have ended up even worse off if I'd been put into the foster care system or adopted out. And, well, I would have been left alone with my father, who wasn't protective either. So anyway, what can I say about that? My mother got sent back from both those near-death experiences and lived to 83. When she had the near-death when I was 7, the second near-death, she was 38 when she gave birth to me, so plus 7. She was 45. So she was sent back and she lived another 38 years. So for whatever reason, that was her destiny, to live out her life to old age, being an evil motherfucker to both her daughters and her grandchildren, by the way. Well, she was vicious. She got more and more vicious as she descended into Alzheimer's too. It was beyond awful. And of course she married that con man, so he fed into the viciousness too, because he wanted the houses and the money, and it was just an epic fucking nightmare without end. And if the Holy One asked me to choose that woman to be the vessel of my birth ever again, I would say no. I'd rather not incarnate ever again if it meant being at the mercy of that monster ever again. So I pray. I still pray. She's been dead 15 years. But I still pray. Well, yes, it is 15 years now. 7th of March. I pray daily that I never incarnate with that creature ever again. Or my father, or my half-sister, or the other monsters that I encountered later in life. I just want peace and joy and real, authentic, caring, supportive, soul-nourishing love, loves, friends, family, community, and a partner one day. People who actually love me for real this time and have my front, my back and my sides, and are good to me and respect me and listen to me when I give them very sensible advice, like what happened with the COVID nightmare atrocity. Actually listen to me, trust in my wisdom. It's very frustrating when you can see something's about to go very fucking bad and no one believed me. That too was a horrendous curse and a suffering, having to bear witness to all of that implosion. It was an implosion too. Look, they did it again here. We just had the cyclone. What's the first thing all the people of Brisbane did? Stripped the shelves of all food and resources and toilet paper. So I got re-triggered because I thought I would just say fucking greedy and selfish. Fucking hate living here now. I really do. I hate living here. But where on earth can I go? I guess people all over the world are the same now. Someone keeps saying Bolivia at the top of a mountain, surrounded by very lustful Latin men. The top of a mountain, biting cold. I do love the embroideries the women wear though. I don't think I'd survive Bolivia either. I think it's just some kind of in-joke the spirits are playing with me now. Go to Bolivia. I'd have to laugh. Anyway, let us continue with the story. The bear hunter in the underworld. For days on end, a young Ainu hunter was following the trail of a bear. This was a clever, experienced bear that had lured the young hunter ever deeper into the mountains with new tricks. The young hunter was known for his courage and his endurance, so he did not give up his pursuit of the bear. Through deeper valleys, upon higher mountain ridges, the bear went and the young hunter followed. Often he could see the bear before him, but never came close enough to shoot it with his poisoned arrow. On top of a bare mountain, the bear suddenly disappeared. When the young Ainu arrived at the spot, I got itches and bites and pinches and fetches and anyway, when the young Ainu arrived at the spot where he had last seen the bear, he found himself at the entrance of a cave that led deep into the mountain. Fearlessly, the young hunter followed the bear into the depths, and soon he arrived in a giant cave with a flickering light at the farthest end. Feeling his way along the walls of the cave, he finally managed to stumble out of the cave through a small crack. There he stood in another world. Here everything looked like the regular world. There were houses, trees, and people, but everything was much finer, more perfect. The young hunter, however, gave no thought to what he saw. He only thought of the bear he had lost sight of. Since I find myself in this underworld mountain pass, I might as well search for the bear here also, he said to himself. He proceeded toward the valley before him, but because he was tired and hungry, on his way he picked some grapes and mulberries that grew in abundance. He ate, and suddenly he felt a strange sensation in his body. What kind of strange sensation? We'll find out. Looking down, he saw, to his big dismay, that he had been changed into a snake. That would be very strange indeed. Well, I'm a wood snake in Chinese astrology, so I carry that energy too. Apparently wood snakes are intelligent and wise, but allegedly indolent. But I'm not actually lazy. I'm not. I'm very hardworking. When I apply myself to, making something, committing to something, I put all my effort into it. So I'm not at all lazy. I don't think I am anyway. His cry of abhorrence transmuted into the hissing of a snake. What to do now? If he returned to his village, where they loathed snakes in his snake appearance, he would be killed for sure. He was at his wits' end. In his despair, he did not even notice he had withdrawn again into the entrance of the cave. There, exhausted at the foot of an extraordinary, wide and tall spruce, he fell into a deep sleep. In his dream, the spirit of the spruce tree appeared and said to him, "It saddens me that I find you here in such a different appearance. Why did you eat from the poisonous fruits of the underworld? The only way you may regain your human form is to climb to the top of the spruce and then let yourself fall down. Perhaps then you will become human again." When the young hunter in the form of a snake awoke, he was full of fear and hope. But what could he do? If he wished to regain his human form, he just had to comply with the advice of the spirit. So he clambered onto the tall spruce, reached the upper branch, and, after a short moment of hesitation, dropped down to the ground. When he came to his senses, he stood at the foot of the tall spruce. Next to him lay a giant snakeskin, as if somebody just had crawled out of it. Filled with joy about his regained human form, the young Ainu thanked the spirit of the spruce, and as a sign of his gratitude and respect, he carved a spirit staff which he placed against the tree. Then he made his way back, hurried quickly through the hole which had taken him into the underworld. A while later, he returned to the world of men, exactly at that mountain peak on which he had been chasing the bear. When he finally reached his home, he had another dream that night. The same spirit of the big spruce appeared and said, "I have come to let you know that you no longer are allowed to remain in the world of men, since you have eaten the grapes and mulberries of the underworld. But do not be sad, because in the underworld lives a goddess who will gladly marry you. Know that it was she who seduced you in the likeness of a bear into the hole and the underworld. Prepare yourself to go back there and live with her." And that is what happened. When the boy woke up, he felt very weak. He became seriously ill, died a couple of days later, and once more made his way to the underworld, this time never to return to the world of the living. From the legends of the Ainu. The Ainu are considered to be the primal people of Japan. They retreated because of the advancing Japanese from the south into the northern country, where they still inhabit the islands of Yizo, South Sakhalin, and the Kurils today. In the Ainu traditions, there were many female shamans whom they called Tusukor. The Ainu assumed that the human world was so much more beautiful than the world of the gods that the gods liked to visit the Ainu, disguised as animals. Since a bear might be a visiting mountain god, the annual ritual sacrifice of a young bear was never seen as an offering to the spirits and gods, but rather as the liberation of the god from the body and helping him to return happily to his homeland in the mountains. The bear festival is also called the Feast of the Sending Away. Nowadays, the ancient cosmology of the shamans is gradually disappearing, and the traditional bear festival and sacrifice has been reduced to a tourist spectacle. Only a few original descendants of the old Ainu people still exist. Right, people of Earth. The next story is called The Call of the Birds. In the beginning of time, the patriarch of the Karajay, it's got a Q, maybe, Karajay. lived with his people beneath the water in the underworld. In the underworld, everything was the other way around. There the sun would shine, while on the earth's surface it was night. One day, Kaboe, the patriarch, heard a tone he did not recognize. He collected a few of his people and decided to go look for this sound. They searched and searched until they came to a hole leading up to the surface of the earth. That was where the tone came from. Kaboe was a strong patriarch, and his body was huge. Pardon me. But the hole leading toward the earth's surface was small. His people were able to climb through the hole, but he got stuck there. He could only look through the hole across the earth's surface. Not far away, he could see the steppe bird, Sirima, whose cry had lured him to the world above. Kaboe gave his people orders to search the whole area and bring him everything they came across. The Karaje found many fruits, bees and honey, but they also saw dead trees and barren wood. Everything they came upon they brought to the place where Kaboe was looking out of the hole. He beheld what his people had found. I see that this world is beautiful and fertile, but I also see rotten wood and barren branches. This tells me that everything that lives here very soon will be exposed to death. Come, my people, it is better we stay where we are. And they returned through the hole to the underworld. In the world of the patriarch, people did not die. When they were not able to move anymore because of old age, they just kept sitting still. When they returned through the hole to the and they returned through the hole. No, where am I going with this? By the gods, I already read that paragraph. Right. I know. I'm meandering, people of earth. When the people saw the fruits and the honey that Kaboe's companions brought along, many wanted to go immediately through the hole to the surface of the earth. But you will not live long, he tried to warn them, but his warnings were to vain. Some of his people climbed up through the hole and populated the earth. The others remained with Kaboe, the patriarch of the Karaje, the world beneath the water. They still live even today without disease or death, in their full strength in the underworld, while the people of the Karaje on the earth's surface weakened, and the end of them is near. It's an interesting perspective on it, isn't it? Tale of the Karaje from Brazil. The people of the Karaje live in Brazil, in the Ataguia River area. The largest river island in the world, the Ilha do Bananal, has a total of 29 villages. The shaman of the Karaje, the Hairi, is even today still the only one who is allowed access to the ancestor spirits who live beneath the river water. In mask fiestas, The connections are renewed with the people who stayed down there where no death exists. I'd love to see that kind of ceremony. Fascinating. This is why I want to travel to all the sacred sites. It's really kind of being in a way kind of an anthropologist or there's another word for what I actually would like to have studied to become. Can't think of the word, gone blank. Parapsychologist. That would be cool, being a parapsychologist. But anyway, I guess I already embody some of those limited skills in my toolkit because I've studied the occult all my life. But anyway, it'd be interesting to see all the actual practices with the different cultures standing on their longitude and latitude and ley lines, so getting the experience of the energy of the land beneath our feet and the scenery, and then see the practices. It would be just so awe-inspiring for me to see that. If I were wealthy, I'd be on the first plane out of here, going to the most exotic locations and just watching people practice their shamanic belief systems. Or, depending, where on earth it is, their religious, magical practices. Right. The next story is titled The Lord of the Mountains. Since the ages of Olim, the mountain spirit named Many Turnip has raged in the desolate giant mountains. So I guess, let's be real here, although I can't afford to travel and see these things in 3D reality with smell and sight and hearing and the ritual and practices, I'm going there by reading these stories to you. It's the next best thing, isn't it? It's hearing about it and learning about it, almost like being there but not quite. This ruler of the underworld possesses on the earth's surface only a very small piece of land surrounded by mountains. However, some yards beneath the earth's crust, his gigantic realm begins and stretches down to the centre of the earth. Now and then it pleases the subterranean ruler to crisscross his extensive dominion, to rejoice at the view of the inexhaustible treasures, the ores and crystals. Sometimes he also visits the dwarfs and gnomes who work for him beneath and above on earth. Occasionally he abides in the world of men in all kinds of appearances, just to play a bit with them, because he is a moody, tempestuous, vain and proud, but also a good-natured, noble and sensitive spirit, full of contrast. Who does that remind me of? I mean, you almost have to laugh. It's quite an accurate description of me, except I'm not really vain. I can be at times, but not really. I'm not the sort to go and, get Botox in my face and constantly live at the hairdresser. I can only afford to go there once every 8 weeks. Otherwise I probably would go more often because my roots need doing. But I'm not really vain, I'm just as I've gotten older, I've actually become more concerned with my appearance because aging. When I was young, I didn't give a flying fuck. I was so depressed, I was barely alive anyway, so I really didn't give a fuck. I went around for 2 years without wearing a bra. My teeth were terrible because they badly needed, fixing, and public dentistry savagely destroyed my teeth. So I had to wait for my inheritance to get those, and they're not even. We fucked that up too. $10,000 later. Jesus. But anyway, I had, a dead black tooth in the front of my face, so when I smiled, I looked like an actual hobo. No offence to people who are hobos, by the way. But it's terrible what happens to poor people. And you get treated badly when your teeth are shocking, by the way. As soon as you smile, people judge you immediately. Maybe she's poor. She's got nothing going on. She's worthless. Let's crush her a bit more. Oh, human nature is foul. But anyway, I didn't care. 2000, I was with my ex Courtney at the time. My ex-boyfriend Courtney. 2007 to 2009, I stopped caring about anything. I was on heavy psych meds, and it was like having a lobotomy. I didn't do dishes. The dishes would crawl all over the floor, literally, a trail. I'd wait till they reached the hallway and then think, I better wash those dishes now. So I developed a trick to get on top of the dishes. Was I made a rule that if they reached the hall, then it was time and I had to submit to doing them. Just didn't care. I was that locked off by those psych meds. Awful. So I would scrub my bath out, clean the bath thoroughly, fill it up with dishwashing liquid and water, hot, scalding hot water, as hot as I could manage it. I'd throw all the dishes in there, and then I'd lay clean towels on the floor, and I would drain them on the bathroom floor on the clean towels. Do the whole lot in one go. It's very creative. I had to get around my quite crazy weight. They were quite crazy, but it was some kind of lobotomy. Literally locked off for 2 fucking years. Didn't wear a bra. All bras hurt all the time. It was agonising. So I just went round like titty carping, letting my girls run free. And I was very, very fat, 103 kilos, Abilify and Zyprexa. I was only on a very low dose, but it makes you very fat. You just eat and 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 shuffle and draw. And then I got Parkinsonian involuntary arm jerking, some kind of Parkinsonian type symptoms. So then my elderly psychiatrist put me on Cogentin to calm down, the nerve that was making my arm jerk. So I shuffled and drawled and was a jerk off, and then the Cogentin was too high a dose, sent me blind for 5 days, and after that I needed glasses. So you see, I fought a long, fucking hard fight to get back to be as great as I'm doing now at almost 60. It's astonishing, people are there. Just astonishing. I amaze myself sometimes. But anyway, as I said, can't call that being vain, can you? When you just lose all sense of self-pride and aesthetics, and just don't give a fuck. Because you really, at that time, I really was a zombie, a walking dead. I was alive, I was communicating, I was barely functioning, but the lights were on, nobody was home, babies. Have entire conversations with people, and then a day later I wouldn't remember any of it. What was that? Don't know. Didn't care. Literally, I could be sitting in a busy marketplace and a bomb could have gone off and I just would have watched everything just flying everywhere and I would not have cared. I just would have sat there and gone, oh yeah. So I fought my way back from that. I went off all my psych meds in 2016 and it's 9 years later now, almost 9 years in June. It's been a long, hard fight to get my mind back and to be as fully embodied as I am. Sometimes, as you can see even in my videos, I still drift off a little bit, get lost in space. I needed a lot of support because I had so much cumulative trauma and abuse, even in the last 10 years, up until 10 years ago, and a suicide attempt in 2015. I'm actually astonished I'm still alive, quite frankly, that I'm still here and that I'm doing so wonderfully well, that I've incorporated my shamanic abilities, that I'm relatively healthy. I mean, I still have major issues, let's be real here, but I'm much healthier and stronger and fitter than I was in 2009. And I've got my mind back. Mine's a bit weird and I have a weird outlook on life, but I've always been that way, people are there. Always been very, very spiritual. But I'm relatively sane, except if I get triggered or I get paranoid at times. Jesus. Well, there's a lot of things that can trigger that off given my life histories. And anyway, I'm happy, I'm alive, I'm surrounded by good, kind people who, if they don't always understand me, they at least accept and welcome me and acknowledge me. And, I've been dancing out in the scene since 2012, 2011. Before that I used to dance occasionally quite often actually at Greenbank RSL, so it's been longer than 14 years, but it's the dancing too, regularly dancing, pushing myself out into the world and getting that level of exercise helped heal my mind, body and spirit greatly too. And I'm grateful and I'm happy, and now my next goal is to obviously keep healing myself, but find a way, some kind of niche where I can make a bit of money, and it'd be amazing if I could get off a fucking disability pension and out of housing commission, but I don't think I'll ever be able to achieve that goal. It's an unrealistic goal. But just more than basic bare, scraping through each fortnight, and maybe one day a loving partner by my side who adores me even though I'm a trauma survivor and a mental patient, and I've got lots of my own quirks and issues, and it's someone who looks past all of that cumulative damage and just sees my soul, my spirit, my heart, my mind, and isn't repulsed by my short fat hobbit body either. Well, it's true, you've got to be realistic. I mean, fat is a feminist issue. If I wanted to be slim, I would have been slim by now, people. Just takes a bit of starvation and discipline. But I choose not to. My psychiatrist always teases me and said it's my Bodhisattva armouring. He said, how can you shoulder men, throw them over your shoulder if you were a tiny size 10 or 12? You wouldn't have the physical core. And we laugh and laugh, and I love how you enable me, Doctor, in my wild ways. But I must admit, I haven't had to shoulder any men in sordid, dirty, disgusting pubs for years since I left Irish Murphy's in early 2015. So that's a great relief actually, because it was very stressful having to be in warrior goddess mode all the fucking time. Anyway, we'll return to the story. We segued about me saying that I'm not vain. Since time immemorial, he used to rage through the desolate mountains hunting bears and ox. When he got tired of the hunt, he always withdrew into the depths of this underworld. Sometimes he would stay there for ages until suddenly he got the mood to lie in the sun and rejoice at the sight of creation on the earth's surface. I just want to segue a little bit. It won't be long, I promise. Getting intense vibes today. Really intense vibes from somebody. Really intense love vibes. I'm wondering if I'm going mad or imagining it though. Anyway, it's quite delightful and I'm soaking it in. I'm kind of holding space for it because it's vibes. You don't know what's real, what's not real, am I right? This is the trouble when you're a shaman. You've got to parcel out what is real, what is spiritual, what is other humans sending you energy or vibes, or they're picking up their thoughts or their intentions, and not letting them take control over your body, mind and spirit, because they might be doing it quite unconsciously, but it can be a bit invasive sometimes. But there was such loveliness last night at the club. There really was. Did my heart good actually. Because I had to push myself out, as I often do. I had to push myself. Sort of, recalibrating from one of my breakdowns and in that intense work the day before, 15 hours making those quite wonderful earrings. So I was actually really pushing myself because I was actually still, exhausted from that. Oh, I did well and I had a lovely time and I love my friends. I really do. I put it as a comment on my Instagram post this morning. How my friend was holding space for me, just looking at me with such love, platonic love, nothing sus people. And I'm looking back at him with such love too. And we're just holding each other's energy, because he goes into his zone, for hours of playing guitar. And I go into my zone from the dance, and we often hold space for each other. It's nothing seedy or sus or weird. It's just beautiful spiritual energy between us. So we were looking into each other's eyes, and we're just sort of like, I was being quite serious actually, because I'm trying to rein things in a bit and, not get all silly and don't want people to get the wrong impression, It's a fine line I'm riding at the moment because I'm silly as a wheel at times. But anyway, and he knows he's not stupid. So he's just looking at me and I'm looking back. And we're smiling at each other. And then I felt this energy of someone watching me. You know how you can sense when someone has you under observation? I turned my head and it was Kelly, Paul the singer, Paul's partner or girlfriend. And she's just looking at me like this, like observing me. And her eyes were sparkling and she was all lit up. She was observing the beautiful energy that was flowing between me and my friend Scott. And I had just sensed her looking at me because I was focused actually looking directly at him. So I turned my head and I saw that she was also participating in the energy and the sweetness and the unconditional sweet agape love. I just showed her this beautiful smile at this, and she smiled back happily too, and it was beautiful. I think that was even more beautiful than what was going on between Scott and I, because we often have that kind of symbiosis, and that's unusual for others to participate in it also. So just a big smile, she smiled back, and then she and I both turned our head and looked back at